1, 2, the cut down. We are going to be talking about the OnePlus 10 Pro. And now you're thinking like, rah, didn't that come out like 11th of January, early at the beginning of the year? Yeah. You're not wrong, that was the China model. This is the global launch. Globally now, the OnePlus 10 Pro is available. But you know what? I'm even more excited at the fact that the cut down is back, baby. Yes, slight changes, and I hope those that are early and have been on the cut down, I really appreciate your patience, man. We are back, and we're going to be bringing more of these type of podcast style, less scripted, still structured approach to tech news. So if you enjoy that type of content and you want to be seeing more of this and get your daily or your weekly tech news more like, then be sure to like, subscribe, and turn the notifications so you don't miss any future videos on a cut down, straight to the point, cut down, and how you get your tech news. Now, yes, sometimes when there's a bit of a slow news week, I might throw in a bit of a leak and rumor in there, but I try to keep it official. I like the official news. It's what gets me excited. I don't like the hearsay stuff unless it's, kind of like a development announcement like you see happening from time to time. But yeah, the cut down's back, people. We are back in. It's exciting. I'm hyped, and I'm really ready to get in there. But you know what? Let's talk OnePlus 10 Pro, because the OnePlus 10 Pro is now finally available globally, which I guess I'm excited about. There's some interesting stuff, but there is one thing in a good way that did catch me off. We're gonna talk about that. We are gonna talk about that, and I'll give my final thoughts on everything about it in the end, because I did have a slight feel of it, not a use of it, but a slight feel of it when I was in Barcelona for MWC in their booth. But yeah, the OnePlus 10 Pro is official. We're gonna do a quick little refresher, just to refresh ourselves on what we should be seeing when it comes to the OnePlus 10 Pro. As you can see, obviously it was announced on the 11th of January, released on the 13th, but that was a China-only model. Now, again, it's a shame that OnePlus has kind of been put on a back burner as the China model, or the Chinese brand out of the BBK Group electronics when it comes to Realme, Vivo, Oppo, and also now obviously including themselves, because I've got Oppo Find X5 Pro here, and there's a lot mirrors from it. There's slight things that are a little bit better, but by principle, they are very much behaving the same. And I'm going to break it down and share why my thoughts on it are a bit shaky. But there is one thing that really caught me off in a good way. So we're definitely going to talk about that one. So OnePlus 10 Pro, this on GSM Arena to get the breakdown and stuff. And yeah, it's by principle, it's the same on a hardware level. So if you remember, we're going to glance over it quickly. 6.7-inch display, curved at the front, is using LTPO2 Generation 2 Fluid AMOLED display with 120 Hz, which is adaptive all the way down to 1 Hz, and it scales up and it's meant to be a lot more fluid and smooth. HDR10 Plus, you got obviously 500 nits of typical brightness, 800 nits in high brightness mode, and 1300 nits in terms of peak, which I believe should be in relation to HDR content. Corning Gorilla Glass Victus at the front. It does have an always on display, which I'm glad OnePlus took a U-turn from the ambient display and did a proper always on display. What's key is the international version has been scrapped of ColorOS 12.1. It is Android 12 based on Oxygen 12.1 for the international version. That wasn't going to be the case, but with all the backlash they got, they've taken that on board. And obviously it's a 20:9 aspect ratio display, QHD plus at 3216 by 1440. It is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 on a 4nm process. Take that mistake. And then you've got the Adreno 730 GPU, no micro SD card slot, which is obviously expected. Now the base model is 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and then you got up to 12 gigs with 256 gig here in the UK or internationally. UFS Universal Flash Storage 3.1. Now, if you look at the camera system, here's what we got. And I've got some little niggles in there. The main camera sensor is a triple camera sensor at the rear. It's kind of same principle as what we've seen from the OnePlus 8 onwards, right? It's a 48 megapixel main sensor with an f1.8 aperture, 23mm wide field of view, and it's a 1/1.43 inch sensor. Large sensor with a 1.12 micron pixel size, multi-directional face detection autofocus with laser assisted AF and optical image stabilization. You've got an 8 megapixel f2.4 telephoto zoom, which does have focus and also OIS at 3.3x optical zoom. Again, no changes there. I would have loved to have seen at least a 5x or 10x like what we've been seeing on the higher competition. But we'll talk about the price, but I think it's decent enough. It's better than like the 2x on here. 2x, really, Oppo? But anyway, that's another point of discussion, which I did do my impressions video on Lover of Tech, so definitely go over there and subscribe and watch it. Then you've got the 50 megapixel f2.2 14mm wide field of view, ultra wide with 150-degree field of view with the fisheye mode. So you've got a 1/2.76-inch sensor, 0.64 micropixel size with autofocus, and again, this is smaller than the 1/2-inch sensor that I remember being on the IMX 586 from the OnePlus 7 Pro days. Again, 8K 24 frames a second video, no 30 frames a second option, 4K 120 frames a second in terms of slow motion mode, clutch, 1080p 240, nice, auto HDR, gyro electronic image stabilization, and then the selfie. It's the same thing the Oppo pulled. It's a 32 megapixel selfie f2.2 aperture. It only shoots 1080p 30 frames a second video. Why the lack of 4K video recording? I just don't understand, and I don't get it. This 32 megapixel sensor has been getting rinsed out for years now. Their Nord series has 4K video. Why not on their flagship? It makes no sense to me. You got Wi-Fi 6, not Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, yada yada yada. Obviously NFC, no radio, 3.1 USB Type-C. And the in-display fingerprint sensor, obviously, if it's anything like what they've done to improve it on the Oppo Find X5, where they've brought the position into the correct place, slightly higher, not too low like before, with great haptics and great response, then yeah, it should be a good look. Same thing that they've done in terms of the battery and the charging capacity and speeds. What they've done here is 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It's dual cell based. It supports 80-watt SuperVOOC charge, and it does come included in the box, which is one thing I love. It's not USB-C to C. It's USB-C to A, which I don't like. Should be USB-C to C personally, but not a big deal. And it should give you the full charge to 100% in 32 minutes. I tested it on the Find X5 Pro. Definitely true. But in the US, you are limited to 65 watts. Now, look, I'm going to put it out there and say that I've used the wattage meter, and really and truly, it only peaks to about 69, 70 watts for about a minute or two. Most of the charging cycle is going to be at 45 watts. It's not a deal breaker. You are near enough going to get the same charging time, because to 50%, it takes 12 minutes. It's going to be the same, because this is 1 to 58% in 15 minutes. And then you get the 50-watt wireless charging. You got the reverse wireless charging, which is great. And you do still get support for USB power delivery with the plugs that come included as well. Then you've got the Volcanic Black, the Emerald Forest, and the Panda White, which is obviously on the Extreme Edition, but that's not something you get. What's the thing that caught me off? That price. £799. Boy, they needed that, because this is actually the base model of this OnePlus 10 Pro 5G is £50 cheaper than the base model of the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, mind you, the Pixel 6 Pro base model is 12 gig RAM with 128 gigabytes of storage. So you could say the value in paying a bit more would be in the RAM allocation. And then obviously it's $899 for the, mind me, damn. So if we go to buy now, we check it. Sorry about the sneeze, but this is how it is, man. Straight to it. If you go for the Emerald Forest, that's what gives you the 12 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage, as you can see. And then that's $899. So this is how the coin toss flips. You know, with the Google, you go up to that model is $949 from what I believe. But the price for the base model, even the fact there's 8 gig and not 12 gig, this really did surprise me. There's several reasons why. A couple of reasons why I personally think this happened is the fact that there is a non-pro version. And I agree with that. I think OnePlus got to a point where they were biting too much to, you know, to chew. And then with the introduction of the Nord series as well, they had too much product segmentation, and it was causing the Pro model to get way too excited in terms of the price. OnePlus, over £1,000 for your flagship phones when you only have it in one network or sometimes no networks at all. Please settle down. Settle down. And that's one thing that I'm happy about. Having a non-pro version allows them to really bring that base model price down. It needed to be done. It really, really needed to be done. So I'm glad that's something that's happening. That's what initiated that price drop, because that caught me off. I wasn't expecting that. From the OnePlus 8 Pro upwards, they were just losing their plot when it comes to pricing. So that's a good look. Now, again, like I said, when I was at MWC, I got to feel it out. I got to use it, got to experience it, but I didn't get to use it in a sense because obviously it's like it was tethered down. I got to feel it more like, and it felt nice. I know there's the concern of the structural integrity of it and whatnot, but I mean, so far, it felt good. It felt good. You know, one thing I really, really enjoyed about the Find X5 Pro was the haptic feedback. And it's stuff like that in the details where you notice that the haptic feedback on the Find X5 Pro is excellent. And I was pretty much ready to say that this is the best I've experienced in haptics on an Android phone so far. And that's not an easy feat, because what I've been experiencing with the S22 series has been on point. But people are saying that the haptic motor in the OnePlus 10 Pro is pretty much the biggest you're going to find in an Android phone. On top of how it interacts with the software, yeah, I'm eager to try it. I just don't understand the little niggles. You don't have an official IP rating apart from the USA model in T-Mobile. And on top of that as well, the lack of 4K in a selfie camera, it just makes the camera feel unbalanced. Like, the zoom needs to be of a higher megapixel, at least 10. It needs to be at least 4x or 5x. I don't know. It's oddly the same quirks as this when I said about the imbalance, but I'm sure Oxygen OS hopefully will be more stable once they figure stuff out and how they want to do it, especially come the version 13 that they were talking about. But yeah, you know what? Great pricing. Surprised by the pricing, I won't lie to you. And it's available globally. Again, not many carriers are going to get in the UK, which I at least hope 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 4 really get it, but we'll see. But yeah, that's a 10 Pro. Let me know your thoughts, and it's available globally. And again, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos on the Cut Down.